Righty ho. Now, this is actually quite a good place. What do I mean by that? I wanted anonymity. Because if you spend April, May, June, July, August, 5 months in one region mainly, well, yeah, entirely, you get people who kind of are in your head and make assumptions. I had a really interesting day yesterday, but I've got a plan. I've got a plan, a plot for a really good, well, apart from anything else, a certain person must be knocked off her perch. In a nice way. But I've got a plan. Somebody who needs real assistance. Like, real assistance. I mean, this morning, I actually woke up at 3:30 because it was chucking it down with rain. And on the roof, that can get a little bit noisy. And I've been sitting. There's a story, you could call it, in the background of my life for a month. Somebody who really needs assisting, but she must and will write and communicate. She has to find her voice. And I've got a thought as to how that could be, the space could be created for her to do that. But above all, meeting the Northerner with her Doc Martens. And then I met her again. I was having a day meandering the town. Horrible town. But, although, I have to say, the book fella. I really enjoyed talking to him. Right, now this is all cryptic, but it's like, I'm going to tie it all together soon. Meeting the Northerner, works in care. I liked her. I wanted to go out for a coffee with her, but it's like, and she actually stays in a partner. She didn't even, I told her where I was. I was in the absolute, there's a place here which is where the hardcore van people sort of, there's only a few of them. They sort of defiantly stay. And I told her I just happened to be parked there. Why don't you come down and let's carry on this conversation? And it was so interesting. I gave her my normal lines about, oh, in Europe, you ask a European mother, which I have many of them, 40, 50-year-old European mother with kids, or teacher. I've met so many teachers. So are the children that you encounter, or your children's friends, do they speak of false allegations, self-harm, mental health issues, gender, whatever, and what else? There's a suite of them, drugs, etc. And they kind of, I mean, obviously I'm slightly, I'm artifying the following, but it is true. They don't. I mean, if you say that to British, if you've got a British mother at ease, which I can do very quickly, they will, like, their brows will furrow. Yes, well, this is affecting my family or somebody very close to them. But if you say this to a European person, woman, or a father too, I sometimes talk with couples. They're like, their whole body language is, well, no, it's not part of my life, really. I mean, occasionally somebody will say, well, yeah, I'm aware of this. People who live places like Berlin or whatever, I'm aware that that there is some of this. But it's like, Yeah, so why have I got onto that? Yeah, it's extraordinary. It is absolutely. I mean, and that sounds. Yeah, so I span that by the mother, 25 and 22-year-old, I believe. Or no, 23 and 21, two daughters. And it's like, that's too difficult. They don't really want to kind of have that conversation. I know it's a terribly depressing conversation, but excuse me, we're fucking grown-ups, you know? And I've kind of realised that this whole, and this is the real thing, listening to Any Answers yesterday, God, it's like you can take that woman that called in. That is the paradigm. Now, I'm allowed to say this because I'm literally the poorest person, happily, for 15 years. For 15 years, I'm the poorest person in Britain. I'm literally in the bottom 1%. Or the bottom 5%. No, I'm in the bottom 5. No, I'm in the bottom 1%. For 15 years. Oh, we've got a vehicle. Let's buy a wing and a prayer. And I don't have any way out. I even kind of a few years ago, yeah, it's time to start writing properly, kind of like Orwell did in a certain way, although that bores me. And I've had a bit of an attempt at rolling things out to publishers or the like. No, don't get anywhere. I don't even think negatively. It's like, oh, well, I haven't got anywhere. There's a reason for that. No, not that I can't write and think, but it's like society doesn't want to hear certain messages. Anyway, to the point. I've met so many from the education, social welfare classes, carers, people even, I mean, there's a fucking woman who, like, I've been quite friendly to, don't like her as a person. Well, now that's the wrong way of putting it. No, we had a certain kind of easiness. She's a tough, from Manchester as it happens, but moved out a long time ago, and she works like at the more difficult end of the social care with children. And we had good conversations, and then she's leaving. She doesn't even come and say goodbye. You know, it's like, it's all fake. But here's the really interesting, I hate the word insight. A certain person who I still love was using it. They've all brainwashed themselves into using this word insight. No, you have to let a whole paradigm of how people really are, gradually come to you, gradually reveal itself. And it's so difficult in Britain because you have this whole class. I mean, they're massive. They probably are, like the majority, who are those involved in care of one sort or another. They can't say. Their lives are actually reasonably comfortable. They can afford holidays. I mean, Cornwall is a very expensive place. They can afford to holiday here. And they're so smug, and it's like, I'm having a few weeks off, which of course they're entitled to do. But it's like, I don't want to think about anything grown up. I don't want to think that the paradigm I work within is flawed, and it's unsustainable anyway. Honest ones admit that. Right, turn this off because I've actually had the most. I actually hate sitting in this chair because it makes me look like a dwarf when I'm a fabulous, back straight, bright-eyed, back straight, shoulders out person. But I can't sit like that in this chair. I've had, the most nourishing bodily flourishing into the best conceivable state summer probably for 15 years. And then there's other things. Right, the end. No, it's not the end. I want to do something. I hope the sidekick, the possible sidekick who really needs something, will do what she knows she must do. For her, not for me.